Okay, so 168 is where we'll start, but really I can answer questions from any of the homeworks. I haven't had a whole lot of homework questions this chapter, which always just makes me curious. It can either be really good or really bad news. It could be good news because the homework's going well, or it could be bad news because you just don't care or haven't done it, or something has happened wrong. But today we'll just try to get better at homework life where we are. So I'd go through any of these, but we'll start on the newest one. But in terms of homework that's alive, 162 we did a 1 to 20 that was predominantly graphing. That was the one where we were making a lot of X's and I was asking you to get half of them right. And if you gave me the paper and it wasn't half right, you got it back with a note like fix 1, fix 2, whatever that might have been. 21 to 40, we did the addition and substitution methods, which were crucial to our success in the word problem. 167, yesterday we did word problems to 12, and now today we're 13 to 26, the second group of word problems. So the plan today, we'll start with this 13 to 26, but I'll work back through any of those assignments. The other thing we have out there to do is fixing quizzes and tests from chapter 3. So there's 2 quizzes and a test from chapter 3. The fixed deadline is 17 days away, but I wouldn't try to use all 17 of those days. You'll run out of days. The deadline on these pages is a ways off until we finish the chapter, and the chapter is still sort of a baby. So we're maybe like 2 weeks away from even the pages being due. But realistically, you want to be caught up on the pages before we take the quiz. So that timeline is tomorrow I'll have a worksheet that I'll give you today. It'll be due tomorrow, worth 10 points. We'll review that. Monday we'll take a quiz on that material. So I personally would target in your life, try to be caught up on these couple pages, the 162s, 167s by the Monday quiz. Otherwise you're taking a quiz on material you've never practiced, and that's dangerous too. Here's our answers. 14 is a small whole number. Anybody with confidence that you have a small whole number that could be correct?
It is 3.
It is 3. 16 is another small whole number. Anybody confidence you have that one? It is 2. 18, there's a number in the 20s and a number that's, I don't know if I should say it's in the teens or not, because it's technically not a teen, but it's around that size. Anybody teens versus 20s?
8 and 22.
Oh
wait, 18?
That's close-ish, but not quite.
I was looking at 17.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah, I agree with 17 as an 8 and 22. I'm with that. Anybody 18, teens versus 20s? 20 what?
28 and 12.
We just would want to do labels on those. So there's 28 of the printed ones, or 28 of the 795 ones, or somehow add a descriptor to that. 12, you could say 12 white ones, or 12 cheap ones, or 12 495 ones, or something like that. 20, we'd be hoping for 80s versus 30s. Anybody on 20 have 80s versus 30s?
84 and 33.
It is 8433, and then we want some sort of descriptor, so like 84 adult, or 84 expensive ones, or 84 $1.25s, something like that. 33 children, or 33 cheap ones, or 33 75 centers, something like that. 22, we want to be 20s and 30s, so there's 20 and 30-year-olds. Anybody have a 20 and 30-year-old kind of pair?
I got 20 and 32.
It is 20 for Bob, it is 32 for Paula, that is correct. 24, I don't care if you label these, because as we talked about yesterday, if we have a rectangle and we get anybody who's a little OCD about whose length and whose width, you can kind of shut them up by just taking your rectangle and just putting it the other way. It really doesn't matter. But 24, I'm in the teens and the 70s. Anybody with teens and 70s that could be unlabeled?
For which one?
24 teens versus 70s. There we go. We can come back to that one if anybody can get it, but the answer is one of them's in the 70s, the other's in the teens. 26, there's a 50s, and then there's one that's over 100. Anybody with 50s and then over 100?
55 and 137.
It is 55 and it is 137. That is the truth on 26. Anybody first want a repeat of what answers it is you're hunting? Then does anybody need help hunting those answers? Anybody, any of this up to 26? Yes, sir.
Can we do 25?
25. So 25, I would start off drawing a rectangle. Anytime they talk about a shape, I think that's to our advantage to draw it. Rectangles have a width and a length, and it doesn't really matter which one you call which, but two of these would be widths, two of them would be lengths. You with me for that so far? Okay, so sentence one, the first thing they say is perimeter is 86. So we need to look at this and do a math thing with L's and W's. Anybody in the room, what's the perimeter, L's, W's, what's that about? 2W plus 2L. Good on that? Then we'll need to read on, they say length, so L is, so equals 19 greater than, so add width. You okay with that? Did you ever get that far before, or that's a new place? Okay. Do you know where you'd go next from there? Okay, so anybody suggest where would you go next from here?
To the L.
Okay, look at the L. Since L equals this stuff, and they got that letter alone already for us, since L equals that stuff, what do you want to do with that stuff?
Just
Yeah, put it where
the L.
the L is in the other problem. So this would look like 2W plus 2, wanting to distribute, put that in those parentheses, it equals 86, and then I think you'll be okay from there, just start to distribute and work from there. Do you think that's enough of a tip? Try it. If you get stuck, give me another yell. I'll just leave that up there. Anybody else? Anything from the 13 to 26 especially? Anything that has us hung up? 14? So 14, I would suggest table. So I like to go rate, then time, then distance, because the relationship is that we can multiply across if we do it in that order. For 15, you say? 15, we have two motorcycles that are going toward each other. One's from Chicago, one's from Indianapolis, doesn't really matter. They're 350 meters apart, 350 kilometers apart. That also doesn't have really a place to go yet, so ignore the 350 for a second. The rates are 110 and 90. And they say that they started at the same time. So this would be,
I'll wait till
okay. T's. Yeah, you're getting recorded right now. We're live.
camera?
Well, I am.
What?
Do you have anything you want to ask? Do you don't care if it gets recorded for posterity, or you want me to come see you back there?
I'm a sinner in need of a savior.
That's true, aren't we all?
Who am I?
That's a
Someday
lot.
someone will answer
There's
that.
a lot of answers. Do you want me to come out there and see you? Okay, so we're back. So the times are both T's because it said we were leaving in the same time. What's this box going to be? 110T. This box? 90T. So here's our situation. The one vehicle was out here driving in some direction. The other vehicle's out here driving in some other direction. The fast one's going to cover 110T. The slow one's going to cover 90T. Those distances aren't equal like they are in some of the other stories. What are we going to have to do to the distances on 15 to make an equation out of this? Add them. Is that not what you said?
I said combine them.
Okay. I misheard you from where I stand. I thought you said divide.
No, no.
Okay. It's,
Equals the total.
it equals a total. Where was there ever a total?
350.
There was a 350 from a little bit ago that didn't go in the table, because the 350 wasn't for the first train. The 350 wasn't for the second train, or whatever, motorcycles, whatever they are. If you add them up, 350 is like the grand total for both of those things. I think that was your request. Is that enough? Whoever said 14, is that enough to get you going?
Thing.
Or 15?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Anybody else? Any kind of anything from the stories from 13 to 26?
I just wanna know why on 16 two planes are flying at each other.
I mean,
That doesn't
yeah.
seem like a recipe for success.
No, they might not want to meet. Somebody in air traffic controller might want to step in on that situation, because no, that does not sound like a recipe for success. Maybe they're playing chicken in planes.
Sounds like a stupid idea.
Maybe they're men.
Well, that makes more sense.
Upset. Maybe somebody dared them.
How do you do 24?
24. So I go back like picture style kind of thing.
I thought of that. I
We
just
go
never,
that equation for 1, and then the other equation on that, we go W equals 1/4 L. Is that different than what you had?
Yeah.
Because they said the width is 1/4 of the length.
Yeah, I did it wrong.
Okay. If you don't mind fractions, put this in for the width, and you'll have some fractions. If you mind fractions, maybe make decimals. You can put it in if you don't mind decimals.
Yeah,
If you
multiply
insist on
by
only
4.
doing whole numbers, if I multiply by 4, that would kill the 1/4, and I get 4W. Then I can replace the L with 4W and only have whole numbers, but whether you clear it, decimal it, or fraction it, it's up to you. So create a little set aside. That was a question about, what number was that? 24. So 24 would use this kind of an equation, but not with the 86, and then that idea. Anybody else something has you stuck on the 13 to 26 part of this homework page life?
I do 22.
22. So do you have an equation from the first sentence about Paulos and bulbs?
I think I do, yeah.
Okay, what do you think for that one?
Would it be P equals 12 plus B?
That's true. If we go 4 years from now, did you do a B plus 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Equals 2/3, and then we'll want to distribute and adjust Paula's age also to a P plus 4. Just like you did the B plus 4 for Bob, you'll need to do parentheses after the 2/3 with P plus 4 for Paula.
Oh, alright.
Is that new ground?
Yeah.
That'll change some stuff then. Yeah, they're both, we're taking everybody into the future, not just Bob, but also Paula. Anybody else, something I can do to help clean up something from 13 to 26 life of something that went sideways or dead-ended on you? If you have those done, let's send those, but just those, because we've got 4 assignments. I'm going to get different ones, and I'd rather have them get passed in a way that I don't have to sort papers for 10 minutes later. So 13 to 26 only. If you have 13 to 26 onlys, let's send those down. And then if you don't need me, just, I'll give out this worksheet. You can start to work on this worksheet. But if he's holding a 1 to 12 that still has issues, you want me to try to resolve with 1 to 12? Yeah.
Number 3, I just need help putting it into.
Number 3. So difference between two numbers was 11. So x minus y equals 11. Good with you?
Yeah.
Okay. then we know, since we subtracted and got a positive, we know that the x is the bigger number, the y is the smaller number. So when they say twice the smaller, that will be 2y, plus 3 of the larger, that would be a plus 3x, equals 1, 2, 3. You good on that? I like the addition method better. Do you agree, or do you like something different?
Addition.
So if you like addition better, what I would do is switch the order of these. So I have 3x plus 2y is that. And then I would create my opposites chasing the y's. I need my y to have a 2, so multiply everything by 2, and then it's going to add real nice for you.
Can I have the calculator?
Short? Came up short.
Thanks, man.
Anybody else 1 to 12? Anything about 1 to 12? Okay, so then let's do this. People that are at the end of the rows, if you can just keep these in separate piles for me. If you have handy 1 to 12s that are done, send those, but just those, 1 to 12. We'll make a little stack of 1 to 12s for me to get.
Because you'll read an extra one.
Okay. Does anybody want me to take a step back into history to 162? Is there anybody still holding a 162 or something? Yeah.
I think I just have no idea how to solve graphically.
Okay,
So can we just do like, I don't know, 13?
that's fine. So 13. Am I still, like if I use this width, am I still good? Yeah. So 13, I got 4x minus y is 9. So the first thing I would usually check is just if I could do intercepts with that. But since 4 goes into 9, I can't. So I'm going to get this y equals. So the negative and y wait their turn. 9 is minding its own business still. And I'm going to go minus 4x to get the positive 4x out of it. Then to get it y equals, I switch signs. So negative 9 plus 4x. Then my graph paper on the board is always 4. But if I go to graph this, I'd have to go down 9. And with the slope of 4, I'd go up 4 over 1, up 4 over 1. And I might do a few of those because, as I explained to somebody else yesterday, if you only do 2, and then you put your ruler on them a little crooked, as you go, it's going to go like more and more crooked.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you do like 3 or 4 dots and make sure your ruler is lining those all up, you're going to get them more accurately drawn.
Okay.
So then we're halfway home with that. Good with that part?
Mm-hmm.
So then the second part of the 13 had an x minus a 3y equals 16. I can't do intercepts on this either because 3 doesn't go into 16, so that's just me. I also don't want to get this y equals really, because if I try to get this y equals, later I'll have to divide by 3, and everything is going to be a fraction. And if we get too many fractions, we really can't graph that. So I'd get this x equals. If I go x equals, this would be 16 plus 3y. And then here's where the vocabulary quiz from last chapter helps us. We had like 4 forms, standard forms, like intercept form. One of those was to get stuff x equals. And our solution for x equals is make a table and pick some numbers for y. If you picked 0 and plug it in, you'd be up at 16. I don't know that you want to go over 16. There's nothing wrong with going over 16, but that's kind of big. So maybe you'd rather pick a number like negative 4. Because if you put negative 4 in, you could get out a positive 4. And now we're like in here somewhere. But maybe make a table, get a couple points, and you're gonna get an X then out of that. And then X marks the spot. Is that okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's two of the harder graphs. There were only one or two on that whole page that you had to get at X equals and had to make a table. And you hit your way into one of them. And there were quite a few though that you could get a Y equals
Okay.
and do it that way. And you know what I mean about finding intercepts? Like if this had been an 8, I'd have been doing that. There's quite a few of those also.
Yeah.
Anybody else? 162, anything homework that has people stopped back on page 162? If anybody has with you any completed 162s, just send those both down. It's going to be pretty easy for me to tell which one is and which one isn't the graph page of that. But any 162s, we can just keep those in a third pile, and then I'll just hit you with reminders and we'll cut it. So again, reminders, I gave you the sheet that's due tomorrow. On the front, you have to do the problems by the method that it describes, and you have to do enough work showing that I can see that, because you could do the whole page by the addition method. You could do the whole page by substitution. You could do the whole page by graphing. But you have to follow the directions because you're going to be quizzed on your ability to do all three of those skills. So the first two have to be graphed on graph paper. The middle two, you have to be showing me stuff like one letter equals a bunch of stuff with the other letter for substitution method. The third one, I want to see some addition method work. The back, you do whatever you want. The back has the story problems. I don't care how you solve those. But on the front, you need to do the right skill in the right zone. There's 10 questions, it's 10 points, so 1 point per question, 10-point grade tomorrow, review tomorrow, quiz Monday, try to catch up by then, and that's about it.